The battlefield was silent except for the low hum of burning wreckage. Smoke curled through the fractured beams of a ruined hangar, drifting across pools of oil and shattered alloy. Sergeant Darius Cole moved carefully among the fallen, his boots crunching against fragments of shattered drones. The air smelled of ozone and scorched metal, the aftermath of a Dominion strike that had gone horribly wrong for everyone involved. He adjusted the grip on his rifle, its barrel still hot from the fight, and scanned the haze for movement. His armor's HUD flickered with static, no life signs within range. That usually meant death or worse. Survivors too broken to register. He had seen enough battles to know silence rarely meant safety. The Dominion's hybrid war machines were known to feign death, waiting for the moment someone lowered their guard. Darius kept his weapon raised as he crossed the hangar floor, each step echoing in the vast emptiness. A faint sound caught his ear, a metallic gasp, followed by a short, sharp exhale that didn't sound human. He froze, pivoting toward the noise. Beyond a collapsed girder, half buried under debris, a flicker of pale blue light pulsed weakly. He moved closer, heart tightening. The glow wasn't mechanical, it was biological. He knelt and brushed away the debris. The figure beneath it made him pause. She was unlike any Dominion construct he'd seen. Tall, lithe, skin the color of moonlight tinted with sapphire, armor scorched but still gleaming faintly with reactive circuits. Her eyes fluttered open as he leaned closer, revealing irises like molten silver. "Stay still," he said quietly. "You're injured." Her gaze flicked to his insignia, confusion flickering across her face. "Human," she whispered, voice weak but sharp. "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you," he said. She tried to move, but her body seized in pain. "My spinal relay damaged," she gasped. "I can't feel my legs." Darius cursed softly. Around them, the air shimmered with heat from still-burning wrecks. "Your people nearby?" he asked. She shook her head faintly. "They left. Protocol forbids," burdening the squad. He stared at her, incredulous. "They just left you?" "I'm compromised," she said simply. "Unfit for extraction." "Unfit," he repeated, disbelief edging his voice. "You saved their lives, didn't you?" Her eyes flickered, and she said nothing. The Dominion forces were known for their brutal efficiency. If one unit slowed the rest, they were abandoned. It wasn't cruelty by their measure. It was logic. Still, something in Darius recoiled at the idea. He'd lost soldiers before, but never because they'd been left behind on purpose. The calm in his helmet crackled. "Cole, report," came Vega's voice, distant and distorted. "You still breathing?" "Barely," he replied. "I've got one survivor. Dominion hybrid, not hostile." "Copy that," Vega said. "Command wants all biosignatures neutralized or left for collection. Orders are clear." He looked down at the alien woman. Her breathing was shallow, her fingers twitching as she fought to stay conscious. Neutralized or left. Both options turned his stomach. "Understood," he said flatly, then cut the channel. "What are you doing?" she asked faintly. "Ignoring orders," he replied. He slung his rifle across his back and knelt beside her. "We need to get you out before the structure collapses." "Why?" she whispered. "I'm the enemy. Right now, you're just someone dying in front of me," he said. He dug his hands under a section of twisted steel and heaved, the metal shrieking as it shifted. She tried to protest, but her voice broke into a pained hiss. Once the debris was clear, he examined the exosuit along her spine. Fractured conduits, sparking neural links. "You can't move," he murmured. "I told you," she said. "So leave me." "Not happening. Your kind doesn't show mercy." "Then maybe it's time we started," he said. As he lifted her, the weight surprised him. She wasn't heavy, her armor was built from ultralight alloys, but the fragility beneath it unsettled him. She tried to push against his chest weakly. "Put me down," she said. "They'll see you. You'll die." "Lady," he said, adjusting his grip. "I've been dying since this war started." He began to carry her toward the far end of the hangar where sunlight streamed through a breach in the wall. Each step echoed against the steel floor. Outside, he could hear the distant whine of recon drones sweeping the ruins. "You'll be marked as a traitor," she said. "You think I care?" he replied. As they emerged into the light, the devastation stretched for kilometers. Burned-out transport ships lay like skeletons across the landscape. The air shimmered with heat distortion, and the only sound was the wind sighing through metal bones. Darius spotted movement in the distance, figures in dark armor approaching. "Company," he muttered. "Your people." "No," she said softly. "Yours." He cursed again. Vega's recovery unit must have traced his signal. He lowered her behind a section of hull plating. "You'll stay here," he said. "I'll handle this. You can't fight them all. Watch me." He stepped into the open as 3 armored soldiers approached, weapons raised. "Cole!" the lead officer barked. Orders were to extract survivors, not Dominion trash. "She's injured," Darius said evenly. "We're not executioners." "She's not a she," the officer snapped. "She's property of a hostile AI network. Step aside." Darius didn't move. The officer frowned, lowering his weapon slightly. "You really want to throw your career away over this?" "Career," Darius said, voice calm. "I stopped fighting for that a long time ago." "You don't get it," the officer said. "Mercy gets people killed." Darius looked him dead in the eye. "So does following orders without thinking." The standoff held for a long moment. Then Darius's finger twitched toward his weapon, just enough to show intent. The officer sighed. "You always were a stubborn bastard," he said. "Fine. Your problem. But when command finds out, you're done." "Then I'm done," Darius said. They turned away, muttering curses, disappearing into the haze. When he returned to the alien, she was watching him with something that almost looked like disbelief. "You defied your own," she said softly. "For me. For what's right," he corrected. "That's not always the same thing." He carried her to a downed transport and set her gently inside the cockpit. The interior smelled of burnt insulation and rust, but it offered shelter. "What do I call you?" he asked. "Lyra," she said after a pause. "Designation LX-17. I was a strategist." "Was?" "I failed," she said simply. "You survived," he replied. "That's not failure." She looked at him, eyes searching his face as though trying to understand. "You're kind," she said quietly. "You act without logic. You say that like it's a bad thing." "It's terrifying," she murmured. "And beautiful." He spent the next hour scavenging supplies, rewiring a portable power core to feed into her armor. When he returned, she was half asleep, her breathing steadier. "This might hurt," he said, connecting the cables. "Pain means progress," she whispered. The moment he activated the circuit, her body arched, light flaring across her skin as the neural interface rebooted. She gasped sharply, then went still. "Talk to me," he said. "System stabilizing," she managed. "You're insane, human." "Probably," he said. "But it's working." Outside, thunder rolled across the horizon. Not weather, but engines. The Dominion wasn't finished. Dropships descended through the clouds, scanning beams sweeping across the ruins. "They're looking for you," he said. "Then you should leave," she said. "I'm not leaving you. You'll die. Then we die together." She stared at him, eyes wide. "Why?" "Because someone has to show them we're better than what this war made us," he said. The light from the dropships grew brighter, shadows stretching across the hangar walls. Darius adjusted his grip on his rifle, positioning himself between her and the opening. "If they find us..." "They won't," he said. "Vega's unit is still in range. I can call for extraction. They'll never take me." "They don't have to," he said. "Just you and me. That's all I'm asking for right now." She blinked slowly. "You risk everything for one life." "It's never just one," he said. "It's all of them. Everyone we stopped saving because it was inconvenient." The scanners passed overhead, their beams slicing through the smoke but missing their hiding spot. For now, Darius crouched beside her, exhaustion beginning to seep into his bones. "Rest," he said. "We move at night." "And then?" she asked softly. "Then," he said, glancing toward the broken horizon, "we find somewhere that still believes in mercy." She looked at him for a long time, then closed her eyes. "You're a strange species," she murmured. "You have no idea," he said. Outside, the world burned quietly, but for the first time in years, Darius Cole felt the faint pulse of something that had survived every battlefield and every loss. Hope. Night fell like ash. The ruins of the hangar glowed faintly under a fractured moon, and the wind carried whispers through the broken steel. Darius knelt beside the downed transport, keeping his rifle balanced across his knees as he watched the horizon. The Dominion searchlights had faded hours ago, but he knew better than to believe they'd given up. They were patient hunters. They'd circle back once the skies cleared. Inside the transport, the alien woman Lyra slept fitfully, her breathing shallow but steady. Her armor's faint blue light pulsed with each exhale, casting dim reflections across the cabin walls. He listened to the rhythm of it, like a fragile heartbeat against the silence of a dead world. He hadn't expected her to survive the power core patch. The neural feedback alone could have killed her. But she'd endured it without screaming, jaw clenched, sweat beading along her temples. That kind of endurance wasn't common among soldiers, or maybe he'd just forgotten what true resilience looked like. He checked his ammo, reloaded his pistol, and took another slow breath. Somewhere above, the faint hum of drones moved like insects through the clouds. He reached up and dimmed the cockpit lights. If they were going to make it through the night, they'd need stealth and a little luck, both of which had been in short supply lately. When dawn broke, the smoke over the valley began to lift, revealing the distant silhouettes of destroyed ships jutting from the ground like bones. Lyra stirred, her eyes opening slowly. "Still here?" she asked, her voice rough. "Still stupid," he replied. "But yeah." She tried to sit up, grimacing as her legs refused to move. He caught her shoulder before she fell back. "Easy. I hate this," she said softly. "Being weak." "You're not weak," he said. "You're hurt. To us, that's the same thing." "Not to me," he said. He propped her against the seat and passed her a ration bar. She looked at it like it was an alien artifact. "Food?" she asked. "Sort of," he said. "Edible, anyway." She took a cautious bite, grimaced, and forced it down. "Your species has terrible taste. We got used to it after running out of everything else," he said. "Survival doesn't leave room for flavor." She studied him, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You joke. Even now." "It's a habit," he said. "Keeps the fear small." "Fear isn't weakness," she said. "It's information." "Yeah, well," he said with a faint smile. "You can keep yours. I've had enough for one lifetime." As the sun rose, the faint hum of engines reached them again. Darius moved to the edge of the wreckage, peering through a gap in the wall. A column of Dominion ground drones was sweeping the area, four-legged, fast, and built for terrain like this. "We've got company," he said quietly. "How close?" "Too close." She straightened slightly. "You'll have to leave me. We're not doing this again." "You can't fight them and protect me," she said. "You'll die." "Maybe," he said, "but not before making them regret it." She stared at him, searching his face. "Why do you care so much?" "Because no one else did," he said. He shifted her deeper into the cockpit, then sealed the hatch behind her. The sound of his boots faded as he moved outside, rifle ready. The first drone appeared through the smoke, its sensors sweeping in tight arcs of blue light. He waited until it was close enough, then fired 3 quick shots to the head unit. The machine staggered and fell, sparks spitting from its core. The others reacted instantly, shifting formation, weapons deploying. Plasma bolts tore through the air, lighting the ruins in bursts of white-blue fire. Darius ducked behind a half-collapsed engine block and returned fire, methodical and unshaken. The drones advanced, but he was faster, hitting weak points he'd memorized from years of fighting their kind. Each explosion echoed through the valley like thunder. Inside the transport, Lyra watched through a cracked viewport, her hands trembling against her legs. She wanted to move, to fight beside him, but her body refused. The painkillers he'd given her dulled everything but the guilt. The sight of a human fighting her war, her failure, made something ache deep within her. She reached toward the console, fingers brushing against a dormant Dominion transmitter. With effort, she activated its neural link and sent a low-frequency signal, her consciousness spreading like a whisper across the battlefield. She couldn't walk, but she could see. Through sensors, debris, fragments of data still alive in the ruins. She guided him silently. Every time a drone shifted its aim, she pulsed a light on his HUD. Every time an enemy flanked, she flickered the signal twice. He didn't question it, just trusted the pattern, moving with precision he couldn't have achieved alone. Together, they fought like one mind divided between flesh and machine. When the last drone fell, the silence returned heavier than before. Darius slumped behind the engine block, panting, armor scorched and cracked. "That's all of them," he muttered. "For now. You fight like you've died before." Her voice came faintly through his calm. "Feels like it most days," he said, pulling off his helmet. He returned to the transport, boots dragging through the dust. When he stepped inside, she was already watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "You were helping me," he said, "guiding my aim." "I adapted," she said simply. "It's what I was made for. You saved my life. Then we're even." "We're not," he said softly. "Not yet." He slumped into the co-pilot seat, head resting against the bulkhead. "We need to move before reinforcements arrive. I can try to fix one of the transports." "The engines are fused," she said. "But there's another way." She extended her arm toward the console, the light under her skin pulsing faintly. "My neural link can interface with the ship's navigation system. If we can power the core, I can pilot it manually." "You said your spine was fried." "The relay is not the uplink," she said. "My mind still works." "You're serious," he said. "Always," she replied. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "All right, you steer, I fix." She tilted her head slightly. "That's an efficient partnership." "Don't get used to it," he said. "I'm bad at teamwork." It took him 2 hours to repair the core enough for a short burn. When he gave her the signal, she closed her eyes and connected. The ship shuddered as its systems flickered to life. "We have thrust," she said, voice steadying. "Limited control." "That's all we need," he said. The transport lifted from the ground, barely clearing the wreckage before angling toward the mountains. The engines screamed, smoke trailing behind them. Darius strapped himself beside her, the vibrations rattling through his bones. "You ever flown one of these before?" "I designed them," she said. "That's comforting," he muttered. They soared through the canyons, dodging debris and old orbital fragments. Behind them, explosions marked the Dominion's failed attempts to reestablish tracking. Lyra guided the ship with her mind, each turn graceful, instinctive. Darius watched her, the glow from her neural lines reflecting in her silver eyes. She didn't look like the enemy anymore. She looked like someone clinging to survival the same way he was. "You're quiet," she said finally. "Thinking," he replied. "About what?" "What happens when the war ends?" She smiled faintly. "You think it ever will?" "It has to," he said. "Otherwise, we fought for nothing." The transport finally touched down in a forested valley miles from the battlefield. The air was cleaner here, the trees untouched by ash. Darius helped her out, laying her carefully on the soft moss. "We'll rest here," he said. "You'll need time to recover." She looked up at the stars peeking through the canopy. "I can't feel my legs," she said softly. "But I can feel the wind. It's strange." "Strange. Beautiful," she said. "The Dominion doesn't have words for this." "Then you're already better than them," he said. Hours passed in quiet. He set up a small fire, its warmth flickering across her face. For a long time, neither spoke. Then she said, You could still leave. You've done enough. Not yet, he said. You'll need someone to carry you. You'd carry me again? Until you can walk, yeah. Why? She asked softly. Because no one else did, he said. She looked at him, something shifting behind her eyes. An emotion she couldn't name. My people will never understand you, she said. Then I'll settle for you trying to, he replied. The firelight danced across their armor, softening the hard edges. Above them, the stars shimmered like distant promises. For the first time in his life, Darius Cole didn't feel like a soldier surrounded by enemies. He felt human, stubborn, scarred, and capable of mercy even when the universe demanded none. The morning came wrapped in pale mist. Shafts of light pierced through the forest canopy, landing on fragments of metal scattered like ancient relics. Darius stirred awake against the base of a tree, the fire long gone to embers. His armor systems hummed quietly, low power saving mode engaged. A few meters away, Lyra sat propped against a fallen trunk, her eyes open and distant. The golden light beneath her skin was dimmer now, faint but steady. She was staring at her hands, flexing her fingers slowly as if rediscovering them. You didn't sleep, he said, his voice still rough. I can't, she replied. When I close my eyes, I see the Dominion archives. Endless commands, endless obedience. He rubbed his jaw. Sounds like a bad dream. No, she said softly. Dreams mean freedom. He pushed himself up, stretching sore muscles. We'll move soon. Once the mist clears, we'll need higher ground. To where? She asked. Anywhere with less chance of being vaporized, he said. She tilted her head, that faint spark of curiosity surfacing again. You joke in the face of annihilation. Keeps me sane. Or hides the fear. Maybe both. He crouched beside her, checking the connection ports along her armor. You holding up? Pain fluctuates, she said. But there's something else. What? Twitching. In my lower limbs. He froze, meeting her gaze. You mean, it's faint, she said. But it's there. A small, hopeful grin tugged at the corner of his mouth. Guess your system didn't get the memo about giving up. He adjusted her position, helping her stretch gently. She hissed in pain but didn't stop. Easy, he said. You push too hard, you'll fry a circuit. You humans, she said through clenched teeth, are obsessed with limitations. And you're obsessed with ignoring them, he said. Looks like we're bad influences on each other. She gave a low, exhausted laugh, a sound that didn't belong in a war zone. That, she said, feels almost human. He paused, watching her closely. Maybe that's not a bad thing. For a moment, the tension between them softened, the silence filled only by birdsong and the hum of her armor's life support. By midday, the forest trembled with distant explosions. Darius looked skyward, where faint trails of fire marked descending craft. Search parties, he muttered. They're widening the grid. Lyra closed her eyes briefly, scanning the signals. Not just human forces, she said. Dominion units too. So both sides, he said. That's comforting. They'll capture me alive if they can, she said. The Dominion needs data. Your people will just dissect me. Then neither gets the chance. He began to gather what little they had, rations, weapon packs, a portable medcore. We head north, he said. There's a relay tower in the mountain pass. We can call for help. You trust your command after what you did? Not them, he said. Her. Vega, Lyra said. He nodded. She's different. Not a politician. She'll listen. You sound like you've done this before. Disobeyed orders? Too many times. He secured his rifle, then crouched beside her. I'll carry you again. You shouldn't have to. Yeah, he said, lifting her carefully into his arms. But you're terrible at walking. She rolled her eyes. Humor as armor, she murmured. You humans wield it like a weapon. It's better than despair, he said. She was lighter than before, her body still frail, but the warmth of life pulsed faintly beneath her skin. As he carried her through the forest, her hair brushed against his armor, and for the first time since the war began, he realized how quiet peace could sound when you stopped killing long enough to hear it. They reached a ridge overlooking a valley dotted with wrecks and burned-out machinery. Darius stopped to catch his breath. Below, Dominion scavengers, half-machine drones, picked through the ruins, collecting what remained of fallen soldiers. "If we go down there, we'll be seen," he said. "We need another route." "There's a path along the riverbed," she said. "It leads toward the relay." "How do you know that?" "I designed the communications network here," she said. "Irony favors survival, it seems." "Or guilt," he muttered. She looked up at him. "You think I'm guilty? I think you built something that was used to hurt people. That's guilt enough for anyone." "Then you're guilty too," she said quietly. "Every bullet you fired built someone's grave." He stopped walking. Her words hung in the air between them, heavy and true. "Yeah," he said finally. "That's the point." She frowned. "The point? You don't fix guilt by pretending it's not there. You carry it so it doesn't carry someone else." "That's inefficient," she said. "It's human," he replied. They continued along the ridge in silence, her eyes flicking between his face and the landscape ahead. She didn't understand him. Not yet. But she wanted to. That, more than anything, made her feel alive again. By nightfall, they reached the outskirts of an abandoned settlement. Crumbling structures leaned against one another like drunks after a bar fight. Darius set her down inside what used to be a supply depot. Dust coated everything, but the walls were intact. "We'll rest here," he said. She nodded faintly, exhaustion catching up to her. He rigged a heat coil from his armor's auxiliary power and set it in the center of the room. "Your technology," she said, watching him work. "It's crude, but it adapts. Quickly." "Crude and stubborn," he said. "That's humanity's charm." "And your curse," she added softly. When the room warmed, she leaned back against the wall. "Your people, do they know you're here?" "Not exactly," he said. "They think I'm dead or insubordinate. Either way, they're not wrong. You risk everything for someone who isn't even your kind. Kindness doesn't need a species," he said. "That's not how the Dominion sees it. Maybe that's why they're losing." She smiled faintly, a tired, fragile thing. "You talk as though you still believe the galaxy can change." "It already did," he said. "You're sitting proof." They sat in silence for a while, the hum of the coil filling the space. Finally, she said, "When I was built, I was given a purpose: to analyze, to calculate, to decide. But they never taught us why we should care about the decisions we made. You do things without reason, and yet your actions create meaning. That's the trick," he said. "Meaning's not given, it's built, like everything else worth keeping." She looked at him, eyes luminous in the dim light. "If I survive this," she said softly, "what then?" "Then you learn to walk again," he said, "and maybe help others who can't. You assume I'll stay." "You will," he said. "You don't leave what changes you." Outside, thunder rumbled across the valley. Distant engines, maybe artillery. The war was still out there, but for the first time, neither of them felt it breathing down their necks. Darius leaned his head against the wall, fatigue dragging him towards sleep. Lyra watched him for a long time, studying the lines of his face, the quiet strength in his stillness. She didn't understand why a man so broken by war would carry her like something sacred, but she wanted to. When morning came again, she woke to the sound of rain tapping against the metal roof. Darius was already up, scanning the valley through a cracked visor plate. "We move in 10, he said. "Dominion patrols are getting closer." "And if we don't make it?" she asked. "Then we try anyway." "That's not a strategy." "No," he said, slinging his pack over his shoulder. "It's faith." She smiled faintly. "You believe in things you can't measure. That's why we win," he said. As he lifted her once more, the door behind them creaked. He froze, weapon raised, but it wasn't a drone. A figure in human armor stepped into view, helmet under one arm. "Vega, you sure know how to make a mess," she said, smirking. Relief hit him hard enough that he laughed. You always did have the worst timing. Her gaze shifted to Lyra. So this is the reason Command wants you court-martialed. She's not what they think, he said. She's a survivor. Vega studied her silently, then sighed. You've got 30 minutes before they triangulate this position. I can get you to orbit, but after that, you're on your own. Darius nodded. That's all we need. The shuttle Vega brought was old and loud, its engines whining like wounded beasts as they cut through the sky. The cracked viewport showed flashes of stormlight reflected off distant wrecks below. Inside the cockpit, Darius sat beside Vega while Lyra was strapped into a seat behind them, her expression unreadable beneath the dim glow of the console. The silence was thick until Vega said, You're lucky I still answer your calls, Cole. Command's been broadcasting your name on half the channels in the quadrant. Yeah, he said. I'm popular these days. Popular's not the word, she muttered. Infamous, maybe? I'll take infamous, he said. Means someone's paying attention. Vega gave him a sideways look. You know what happens if they catch you with her. Court-martial, imprisonment, maybe worse, he said. Same as always. You're not invincible, Darius, she said quietly. You've got a death wish. No, he said, staring at the streaks of lightning outside. I've got a purpose. That's rarer. And she's it? Vega asked. He turned to glance back at Lyra, who was watching the storm like she'd never seen weather before. She's proof, he said softly. Proof that we're more than what this war made us. Vega shook her head. You always were a damn romantic under all that armor. Don't tell anyone, he said. Would ruin my reputation. The shuttle jolted as turbulence hit, shaking loose a few old bolts from the ceiling. We'll reach orbit in 20, Vega said. After that, you're clear. Clear's a stretch, he replied. The Dominion doesn't let go easy. Neither do you, she said. He looked back again. Lyra's eyes met his, steady despite the tremors. We're being tracked, she said suddenly. Rear sensors, heat signature climbing. Vega frowned. You sure? Positive, Lyra said. Dominion interceptor. It's locking weapons. Darius cursed, unstrapping. How close? Too close for evasive maneuvers, Vega said. They'll be in range in 30 seconds. He grabbed a harness, bracing against the cabin wall. Get us as high as you can, he said. Then cut power. Cut power, Vega said. You trying to kill us? Trust me, he said. That's what got us into this mess in the first place, she muttered, flipping the manual controls. The engines roared as the shuttle climbed hard, gravity pressing them into their seats. Lyra's armor flared with golden light, compensating for the strain. Now, Darius shouted. Vega slammed a switch and everything went dark. The engines cut mid-burn, leaving the shuttle coasting silently through the clouds. The interceptor screamed past them, overshooting, its targeting sensors confused by the sudden disappearance of power signatures. That actually worked, Vega said. Yeah, Darius said, catching his breath. But now we're falling. The shuttle plummeted through the clouds, its hull shuddering. Reignite engines, Darius yelled. Vega slammed the switch again, and the thrusters roared back to life, barely stabilizing them before they slammed into the upper atmosphere. The stars reappeared above them, cold, sharp, infinite. Welcome to orbit, Vega said between gasps. Remind me never to let you fly again. You're welcome, he said, forcing a grin. Lyra's voice came softly from behind. That was reckless. Yeah, he said. That's kind of my thing. Reckless isn't the same as brave, she said. Sometimes it is, he replied. They drifted toward the outer rim of the planet, where the wreckage of old battle stations hung like ghosts. Vega adjusted their trajectory toward a debris field. We'll lose them in there, she said. But we're low on fuel. Then we find somewhere to hide, Darius said. Lyra's gaze shifted to the viewport, her expression tightening. There, she said, pointing. That station. It's old Dominion tech, abandoned since the fall. You sure it's not still armed? Vega asked. No, she said. But if it is, I can talk to it. Vega snorted. I hate when you people say that. She's not wrong, Darius said. We've got no better options. Vega sighed. Fine. One haunted space station. Coming up. As they approached, the massive structure emerged from the darkness. Its hull cracked, its once golden spires reduced to jagged silhouettes. The docking bay doors were half open, flickering with unstable energy. That's comforting, Vega muttered. We'll fit through, Lyra said. Probably. I liked you better when you were half unconscious, Vega replied. The shuttle slipped through the gap with a groan of strained metal and touched down on a platform covered in dust and frost. Power's minimal, Vega said. Atmosphere's thin but breathable. Darius unstrapped, checking his rifle. Let's make it quick. The hangar was vast and silent. Their footsteps echoed against the metal floor as they moved deeper inside. Strange, bioluminescent markings lined the walls, faded remnants of Dominion script. Lyra traced one with her fingertips. This place was a cradle, she murmured, where they made my kind. Darius looked around at the empty pods lining the walls, most shattered, some still intact but dormant. Looks more like a tomb, he said. All cradles become tombs eventually, she said softly. Vega scanned the perimeter. I'm getting faint energy readings below deck. Something's still alive down there. They followed the signal to a central chamber where a massive core pulsed faintly, like a dying heartbeat. The air hummed with latent power. Lyra stepped forward, her glow brightening. It's an echo of the Dominion network, she said. An AI fragment, maybe dormant. Can it wake? Darius asked. If it senses me, yes. Vega frowned. And that's bad because? Because it will want to reclaim me, Lyra said. Reintegration protocol. So don't let it, Darius said. She smiled faintly. It's not that simple. She knelt beside the core, placing her hand on its surface. Lines of gold light spread from her palm, crawling across the metal like veins. The hum deepened, resonating through the floor. Lyra, Darius said cautiously, what are you doing? If I can interface with it, I can disable its failsafe and use its power source to signal your fleet. You sure that's a good idea? Vega asked. No, she said. But it's the only one. The chamber trembled as the core flared to life, holographic patterns swirling around her. Her eyes went distant. It's awake, she whispered. It remembers me. A voice filled the room, deep and synthetic. Unit LX-17. Protocol breach detected. Reintegration required. Darius raised his weapon. We're not doing that. Unauthorized organic present, the voice said. Designation, human. Threat level irrelevant. Irrelevant, Darius muttered. That's rude. Lyra's voice trembled. It's trying to override me. Fight it, he said. You've done it before. This one's different, she said, her hands shaking. It's not just code, it's memories. All of them. The lights intensified, wrapping her in a cocoon of energy. It's pulling me in, she gasped. Darius didn't think, he just acted. He rushed forward, grabbed her shoulders and tried to pull her free. The energy burned his armor, searing his skin beneath it, but he didn't let go. Let her go, he shouted. Human interference unacceptable, the voice boomed. Correction, termination. A surge of power threw him backward, slamming him into a wall. His visor cracked. His head spun. Darius! Vega shouted, firing her sidearm at the core. The bolts fizzled harmlessly against the energy field. It's learning, Lyra said, voice echoing like a chorus. It's trying to become what it was. Then stop it, Darius yelled. You can. She closed her eyes, her expression fierce with concentration. I can't destroy it, she said. It's part of me, but I can change it. Change it how? Make it feel. Her voice broke into a whisper. Make it understand mercy. The chamber flashed white, blinding and silent. When the light faded, the core was still. Lyra collapsed, Her glow dimmed almost to nothing. Darius crawled to her side, pulling her into his arms. "Lyra," he said urgently. "Talk to me." Her eyelids fluttered. "It's done," she whispered. "I gave it your voice. My voice. Your defiance. Your compassion. It will remember." He held her close as the faint hum of the station grew steady again, no longer threatening, just alive. Vega exhaled shakily. "I'll never understand how either of you are still breathing." Darius smiled weakly. "That makes two of us." He lifted Lyra carefully, her body limp but breathing. "We're done here," he said. "Let's go home." "You mean wherever Command decides to shoot you next?" Vega said. "Yeah," he said. "That one." As they boarded the shuttle, the station lights dimmed behind them, like a farewell. When they broke atmosphere, Darius looked down at the planet one last time, the world where war had finally taught him something worth remembering. Lyra stirred faintly in his arms, her voice a whisper. "You never stop," she said. "Can't afford to," he replied. "That's the difference between us." "No," she said softly. "It's what makes us the same." The stars above the shuttle burned like cold fire, streaks of silver and blue shimmering across the void. The storm of battle was long behind them now, replaced by the endless quiet of open space. Darius sat in the co-pilot's seat, his armor half unsealed, burns bandaged roughly beneath the plates. Lyra lay stretched on a recovery cot beside the console, faint golden light flickering through the translucent lines of her armor. She had been silent for hours, her body stabilizing, her mind recovering from the neural overload that nearly consumed her. Vega piloted in silence, her eyes fixed on the dark horizon, occasionally glancing back as if expecting the Dominion to appear at any second. The hum of the ship filled the silence like a heartbeat between storms. Darius checked the readouts again. Vital steady, pulse strong. Relief crept in slowly, like warmth through frost. "She'll live," Vega said softly. "Didn't think I'd ever see one of them bleed and still come back." "She's not one of them anymore," Darius said quietly. "Not really. You sound like you actually believe that." "I have to," he said. "Otherwise, all this was for nothing." Vega smirked faintly. "You always were too stubborn to let the universe make sense." He leaned back, eyes half closed. "That's what keeps us alive." She didn't argue. She never did when he spoke like that. Hours passed. The black void around them began to brighten with the pale glow of a distant star system. Vega adjusted their course toward one of its moons, a neutral zone known as Iron 6, a patchwork colony of traitors and deserters, far enough from the front lines that no one asked questions. "We can refuel there," Vega said. "Lay low. Get her back on her feet." "She won't like hiding," Darius said. "Neither will you," she replied. "But we're out of miracles." "Not yet," he said. "We've got one left." Vega sighed. "Don't say it." "Hope," he said anyway. She shook her head. "You sound like the old recruiters." "Yeah," he said softly. "Difference is I mean it." When they landed on Iron 6, the air was dry and heavy with the scent of ion dust. The port was nothing more than a cluster of half-buried domes and rusted scaffolds, lit by neon strips flickering in the wind. They rented a berth under false IDs, Vega doing the talking while Darius carried Lyra out of the ship. She stirred faintly as he lifted her, eyes fluttering open. "Where are we?" she asked weakly. "Safe," he said. "For now." "Safety's an illusion," she murmured. "Then we'll pretend until it's real," he replied. Her faint smile told him she understood. They took refuge in an abandoned observation dome overlooking the canyon. The glass was cracked, but the stars spilled through like rivers of light. Darius laid her gently on a cot made from scavenged thermal sheets. "I hate this," she whispered. "Being helpless." "You'll walk again," he said. "You're already healing faster than before." "Not fast enough," she said. "Every moment we wait, the Dominion rebuilds." "Then we'll rebuild faster," he said. "One thing at a time." "You sound like a commander again." "Old habits," he said. She studied him quietly. "Why didn't you stop fighting when the war broke you?" Because someone had to keep carrying what others dropped. And when it crushes you, then I'll fall forward, he said. At least I'll land closer to the goal. Later that night, the dome hummed faintly as wind howled through the gaps. Vega was gone, gathering supplies. Darius sat by the window, watching the stars, when Lyra spoke again. When I linked with the core, she said softly, I saw things, fragments of your world, your oceans, your children. He turned, surprised. You saw Earth. Pieces, she said. Memories embedded in your neural signal. You think of it when you fight, like a compass you can't return to. Yeah, he said quietly. It's home, even when it's just a story. It's beautiful, she said. Untouched, unscarred. It was, he said, before we learned how to destroy things faster than we could love them. She watched him closely. And yet you still believe. Because we learned to rebuild too, he said. We're slow, stubborn, and stupid, but we never stop trying. She reached out, her hand trembling, fingers brushing his gauntlet. Your kind's persistence frightens me, she said. You rise even when you shouldn't. That's humanity's secret, he said. We don't know when to quit. Maybe that's why the universe needs you, she said. To remind it that survival isn't just about strength. No, he said softly. It's about compassion. He met her gaze, the reflected starlight glowing in her eyes. That's what wins wars. She smiled faintly. Then teach me. You're already learning, he said. Days passed in slow rhythm. Vega secured parts for the shuttle, and Lyra's strength returned gradually. The first time she stood on her own, it was only for a few seconds, her knees trembling, the gold in her skin flaring bright. Darius caught her when she fell, steadying her. You're stubborn, he said. I learn from the best, she replied. That's dangerous, he said. So is caring, she said softly. Yet you do it anyway. Every damn time, he said. He helped her back to the cot, pride hidden behind exhaustion. She didn't need to see it. She could feel it in the steadiness of his hands. The Dominion found them 3 days later. The first warning was a distant sonic boom. Then the sky split open with light. Vega burst into the dome. They tracked us, she said. 2 cruisers inbound, orbital path locked. Evacuate, Darius asked. Engines won't start, Vega said. We're grounded. Lyra pushed herself upright, pain flashing across her face. There's another way, she said. If I connect to their network, I can redirect their targeting. That nearly killed you last time, Darius said. This time I'll have you, she said. And if it kills us both? Then we die free, she said. He hesitated for only a moment, then nodded. Do it, Vega swore. You're both insane. Probably, Darius said. Cover us. They linked through the shuttle's comm core, Lyra's neural light brightening until it filled the dome. The air buzzed with energy, screens flickering with alien code. Targeting lock bypassed, she said through gritted teeth. Redirecting their payload. Darius steadied her, holding her upright as her legs gave out. The code on the screens turned from red to blue, then white. Done, she whispered. They'll fire on their own cruisers. Seconds later, the sky bloomed with twin explosions, silent and magnificent. Vega laughed breathlessly. You two just tricked the Dominion into killing itself. Poetic justice, Darius said, lowering Lyra gently. You all right? Drained, she said softly, but alive. When the smoke cleared and the horizon fell quiet again, Iron 6 was safe, at least for now. Vega patched the ship's core, preparing for departure. You've got options, she told Darius. You can come back with me, face command. Maybe clear your name. Or, he asked. Or vanish, she said. Start something new. He looked at Lyra, who was watching the dawn through the cracked glass. I think I already did, he said. Vega smiled faintly. Didn't think you had it in you. Me neither, he said. She clasped his shoulder. Whatever you're building, make it worth the fight. Always, he said. When Vega's shuttle lifted off, Darius and Lyra stood alone under the fading sky. The light from the explosions still glimmered faintly across the upper atmosphere, like falling stars. "What happens now?" she asked. "We find others like you," he said. "Those who were abandoned, broken, forgotten. We show them what mercy looks like. And if they refuse, then we carry them anyway," he said. She smiled, the kind of smile that made galaxies seem less infinite. "You never stop carrying people, do you?" "Not until they can walk," he said. They walked together down the ridge as the wind rose, stirring the dust into spirals. For the first time since he'd met her, she didn't stumble. Her steps were slow but steady, her hand brushing his for balance. The golden light within her shimmered like sunlight under water. She looked at him and said quietly, "You changed me." "No," he said. "You changed yourself. I just reminded you you could." "Then maybe that's what humans do," she said. "We remind the universe of what it's forgotten." "Yeah," he said softly. "We make it remember." As night returned, they reached the edge of the canyon. Below them, the faint lights of the settlement flickered against the dark. The stars stretched endless above, vast and waiting. Darius looked at her, this strange, luminous survivor who had once been left to die. She met his gaze, eyes bright with something far more powerful than circuitry. Faith. And in that moment, he understood. Humanity's strength was never its weapons, or its will to dominate, but its refusal to walk past suffering and pretend it wasn't there. He took her hand, their fingers locking like two halves of the same story, and together they stepped into the unknown horizon. Warrior and alien, burdened and reborn, proof that compassion was the strongest weapon ever forged by humankind.